So, just how much does it cost to live in Phoenix, Arizona? That's exactly what we're talking about in today's video. Hi, I'm Braiden McKee, and I'm with the Desert Charm Living real estate team here in the Phoenix metro area. We specialize in the Northwest Valley, so think North Phoenix, Anthem, Glendale, Peoria, and Surprise. And today we are talking about the cost of living. How much does it cost to live here? What are housing prices like? And what is the market doing with these home prices? I did a video just like this last year, but today's video isn't. First, if you haven't, then you might want to check out this video from last year. I'll link it here so you can go check it out. This is the original Phoenix, Arizona cost of living video that I did. And this video, I talked all about what home prices were like, what the cost of, utilities and groceries. Now, obviously, between 2020 and 2021, a lot has happened, and we've had the pandemic, and the housing market has gone absolutely bananas. And I'm serious about that. If you are looking at real estate anywhere, you know that this is the case. But yes, we are looking at so many different changes. And so when we talk about the cost of living, I'm really going to talk about the real estate market. And obviously there have been changes that have happened to food prices and just general cost of living. But the biggest update is the real estate and home prices, home affordability, and how much you need to make to comfortably live in the Phoenix Valley. So that's what I'm going to touch on here today. So last year, June of 2020, when I made the original cost of living in Phoenix, Arizona video, the average home sales price was around the mid 300,000 mark. Now, last month on my Instagram, I did a live recap of our June stats, and in summary, June showed that our average sales price around the Phoenix metro area was about $507,000. Now, if you're looking at that number and freaking out, I understand, because if you look at the overall amount increasing by over $100,000 to $150,000, yes, that is a big jump in housing prices and home affordability. Now, interest rates are still incredibly low. Right now, as we speak, we're at a 6-month historical low. But historically speaking, if you look at interest rates right now versus over the last 20 years, we have the lowest interest rates, which means that it is very affordable and cheap to finance. I mean, there's cash buyers or people who have a large amount of cash who are still financing because it is so affordable to do so, and they can keep cash reserves. They can put that cash into other things, and that's another topic. But this home price affordability, it is rising here in the Phoenix metro area, and I would say that we're becoming very competitive with other large cities. Obviously, we're not quite there. We're not quite a Chicago, a San Diego, LA, maybe even Seattle, but I think that we're trending that way. Phoenix is growing incredibly. And, one thing that we have that is going into this is the supply and demand issue. If you look at economics, anytime you have low supply but high demand, you have rising prices of that product. And right now, homes are the product, and we're seeing this not just in Phoenix but really across the country. We had a shortage of homes being built in the 2010 to 2020 period versus what we should. We have the baby boomer generation, which is staying in their homes longer, and that is making it so that when you're moving up, there's just not as many options because we've seen this trend of people staying in their homes 5 to 7 years. After the recession, people started to stay in their homes longer, and with the large baby boomer generation having a large amount of those homes that is that they're not moving out of, that is another addition to the supply and demand problem. So there's so many different factors, and we could talk about the affordability of financing, and we can do that on another video. But I hope you know that if you really look at financing and your monthly payment versus just the overall purchase price, because typically a lot of buyers, especially if it's your first or second home, you're not going to pay that full amount, right? You're going to be financing, paying a monthly a monthly rate. And so look at that monthly rate for you after your taxes, insurance, HOA fees, things like that. That's going to be what you should really look at. But of course, with a higher total purchase price, that means you will have a higher monthly payment. Now, I recently read an article that was going over how much you need to make to comfortably live in the Phoenix metro area. And, just a reminder, I'm in the North Phoenix, Anthem, Peoria, Glendale, and Surprise area. We call that the Northwest Valley. And every area, every neighborhood has a different price range, different affordability, and obviously you have the entry level to the median, average price, high end, and then you hit luxury. And you're gonna have different price points for each of those segments of the market, and it's gonna be different per city, per area. So, I'm speaking very generally here, but in that article, they were saying that in order to live comfortably in Phoenix, if you were to be a homeowner, you needed to make $88,000 per year. And if you're a renter, you need to make about $89,000, I think it was. So you actually needed to make $1,000 more to rent than you are to own. And when you're owning, at least you own that home. You don't have rising rent costs every year, and you're building equity. So you can cash out on that equity, take equity out, put it into your property, paying off debt. Maybe you sell and move up into a bigger property, have a bigger down payment. You have options when you're building equity. With rent, you're at your landlord's mercy. You're not building equity, you're building their pocketbook, which, if you're a landlord, that's great. But if you're the renter and you have long-term financial goals and you're having to make more to rent than to own, to me, I think there's a lack of, that just doesn't make sense. And so obviously, if you're watching this video, you might be thinking, okay, well, if I'm renting, how can I afford to save if I have to be making more just to rent this stupid apartment that I'm in, right? And there are actually programs. We have grants here in Phoenix that are down payment assistance, and if you make under about $90,000 to $93,000 a year and your credit is decent, you may actually qualify to get that first time, or you don't even have to be a first time home buyer, that home buyer grant or down payment assistance to help you cover your down payment and or closing costs. And so when you're looking at how much you need to make, I would say that number is up about $10,000 to $15,000 over this time last year. I think, with the pandemic and everything that has happened, decreased supply of products and goods, even lumber, things like that, paint. There's so many things that have been affected, and so that has just overall added to the cost of living, therefore making it so that if you want to live in this big city, your costs to comfortably live here are going to be increased, therefore you need increased income. And with that, I also would say we're probably starting to experience inflation from all of the money that was put out last year. Obviously, that has to come from somewhere, and so inflation, rise of goods and services is inevitable, and I think we may be starting to feel the effects of that. So just think about it. You do need to be making a little bit more to rent here than to own a property, and if you're coming from a bigger city, that may not be a big deal. You could be selling, a $700,000 to $1 million, $1 million home there, and then come here and say maybe you're spending $500,000 to $750,000, right? But if you're coming from somewhere smaller, or maybe you're being transferred here for a job, make sure that the income is there so that you are living in an area that you're comfortable with. You can afford to live here, and you are not scrambling every single month for that rent check or just your grocery bills. That's not a way to live. So just think about that. Phoenix is a growing and expanding city, and so I would say we're starting to become more comparable. Obviously not the same. We're not quite at that level, but I would say we're starting to rival or imitate these big cities like San Diego and LA, maybe even Seattle and Chicago. We're trending that way with the amount of growth and incoming population that we have. So in summary, I wanted to update you on the housing market, the real estate market, and I would say that Phoenix real estate has gone up on average about 25 to almost 26% in equity in the last year's period, and that is quite a rise. Now our job market is growing very rapidly. We are ranking in job growth, and that is a really good sign when you have rising costs and housing affordability. So if you're thinking about buying a home in the Phoenix metro area, we've been in a seller's market for quite some time. And one thing that I would say is that this seller's market, similar to across the country, is pretty extreme. We are seeing a slight slowdown right now. I think, people are returning from vacations, traveling. We have some buyer fatigue where some buyers are just holding off or trying to save more. They're just burnt out from home shopping and not getting into a place. Or we also have people that are holding off because the kids are going back to school. That brings on a new set of challenges trying to move during a big transition back to school, back to learning all of the school routines, right? So this could be the opportune time. But one thing that I'll say is that if you're shopping for a home, what I tell my clients to do is to look below your budget. We don't want to look at the top of that budget. If your budget is $500,000, I'm probably gonna cap your search of what I'm sending you at $475, because you wanna make sure that if you are in a multiple offer situation and you love that house, that you have the room in your budget to go up and compete. And maybe you bring it up to 500 or 490, and you have cash that you can put towards an appraisal gap. But with all that being said, the market is very competitive, and having extra cash, having room to play with your budget is essential to win an offer in today's market. I do still think there's opportunity to buy and lock in an amazing interest rate. I can't repeat that enough. But if you're worried about the cost of the home prices, I would encourage you. I have an app I can send you from my lender. It lets you break down costs and your monthly payment compared to different loan programs, and if you're to buy at this price versus this price or have this interest rate, you can toggle all of the items. I'd be happy to send it to you, but really look at that monthly payment. What are you comfortable paying monthly? And that is what's going to tell you if you can afford to live here or not. If everything that you're looking at is $500 more than you're comfortable spending every single month, obviously you got to bring down that total home purchase price. So I hope that this was helpful to kind of break down what the market is looking like, but definitely let me know if you want that app or you want to break down that process a little bit further, because I'm happy to do that. I have a winning offer strategy that I use with my clients right now, and it is getting offers accepted. It is getting my clients in a offer that they're comfortable with while still being very competitive. And so if you want to work with me, then you get access to that. You get my advice and strategy when it comes to offers and negotiation. So feel free to talk with me anytime and see if the affordability here in Phoenix or in the area in Phoenix that you're looking at even makes sense.
I hope that you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I'm releasing new videos every single week, and I want to make sure that you are updated and that when a new video comes out, you get notified and you can watch it in case you are thinking about moving to Phoenix or relocating here, or maybe you know somebody that lives here and is looking at potentially moving. They need a real estate agent or somebody just to advise them. That is what this channel is for. So please go ahead and subscribe so you're updated and you can get all of my advice on the Phoenix real estate market and the Northwest Valley lifestyle.